Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, yeah, I think at this point, everyone can already guess that the test that Felicia ran came out false. Um, I'm going to be honest, I have no idea how long they're going to sit there and drag this out, but GH is known for dragging things out, which is. Here's the issue with this storyline right now. We all know that the actor that plays Mac is, going through treatment and everything like that. So it's one of those things where it's like they had a plan to sit there. I feel like this whole thing was probably supposed to work out differently if it wasn't for the actor and his diagnosis. But now that you have that going on, it's like I don't even understand how this is supposed to play out, right? Like let's just sit there and say, for the sake of argument, Felicia ran a test. It came out that Mac is Cody is Mac's son. It's still not going to have as much of a big impact. I think the only thing right now, the only type of impact it's going to end up having is on a legal level. Which, by the way, once Felicia told the truth, and I don't even remember if she apologized, and I was kind of just more like disappointed, like, oh yeah, of course it was not going to come out. But once that wound up happening, Cody was with this saying, it's like, listen, you're an accessory at this point. So when he said that we're partner in crime, it's like, no, literally, you are partners in crime because when he goes down, she's going to go down. She used her hair to sit there and tamper with the DNA. So when this whole thing comes out, the family, um, Maxie and Felicia, they're not just going to be upset with Cody. They're going to be upset with Sasha at this point as well. And, since Maxie was really championing for her to, I think she was also championing for Sasha to stay. She's going to be even more disappointed. Now, Willow comes over to check on Jocelyn and Michael and stuff like that to make sure they're okay because she heard about the passing and stuff. And at some point, Jocelyn leaves. Michael apologizes again to Willow, saying that he wants to then try to work on the relationship, kind of fix it, and he's apologetic about what he did. And Willow is they're talking about how she needs time and space and everything like that. I still think it's BS that he has to sit down and leave his family estate, but whatever. She says that she is kind of reevaluating their relationship because she understands that, his intentions might have been good, but the way he went about it was trash. It was trash. Well, with that being said, is she actually going to sit there and file for divorce or whatever, separate? Because in all reality, yeah, what he did was bad, right? But that's something that they could sit there and work on. It's they call these things a rough patch for a reason, right? They call them a rough patch for a reason. And I've said many times that people tend to give up on their relationships too fast, and mostly it's because they usually a lot of times it's because they think that the grass is greener on the other side, but also they just don't have it in them. I don't think that when they say these vows and stuff like that, the death do us part. That's literally what that means. Now, granted, there are exceptions. Cheating, physical and mental abuse, things of that nature. I can see you like, what? Listen, this isn't good for me. But outside of that, that's what they have counseling for. That's what they have therapy sessions for. Um, And it's one of those things where it's like with Willow, it's like, bro, again, you got Harmony as a mom. You literally still call Harmony your mother. And she showed you to a goddamn cold. What Michael did was bad, but that's something y'all can sit there and work on. And keeping secrets and lies and stuff like that, she did the same thing to Michael. So, at some point, she's going to have to sit there and kind of get past that. Um, Dante was not there talk. Dante let Sonny know about Bobby's passing, and Sonny was still a little kind of butthurt that Dante arrested him. I mean, granted, he understood towards the end, but it was like, really? Now Diane came in there, and Diane was able to sit there and kind of get him out on bond. One of the questions that she was there wanted to talk to him about was, divorcing Nina. And she was like, all right, we got to sit there and talk about this because we have to sit there and practically get her out your life at this point. And as furious as Sonny is at Nina, he's not ready to sit there and walk away. You know, yeah, he's upset with what she did to Carly and the family and everything like that. I think, honestly, tell you, this is something that I might have said this weekend. But he also needs to be furious at her because in his line of work, she is making him weak. She's not there talking to the feds and stuff like that. Like, that's a whole other problem. Not just the Carly thing, but just with him in his world. That's a problem. Um, Brooklyn was not there talking to Tracy when Marty came in there. And after talking for Martin for a little bit, Brooklyn tells Tracy, Tracy tells Brooklyn that Lucy and Scotty are not trying to plot against her. And, Brooklyn's like, all right, listen, just make them pay and stuff like that. And now Brooklyn does sit there and say, listen, while you're not there getting revenge, just make sure that you don't lose focus of your feelings. Don't lose yourself in your feelings with um, dealing with Luke's death and stuff. And while I do think that that's good advice, it's also one of those things where it's like people don't like being psychoanalyzed. People don't like being psychoanalyzed, and maybe in Tracy's own way, that's how That's how she's choosing to deal with her feelings. Now, yeah, ignoring your feelings, eventually they do want to come into light. But I think for right now, between the work and getting revenge on Lucy and Scotty and stuff like that, if that's what's keeping her going, and two, it winds up becoming a problem, let her rock. Let her rock. Um, I had to wind up doing this review twice because now we're getting into kind of the sadder parts of the episode, and that's with Liz and Carly, which was a nice scene, you know, um, for the simple fact that both of them. Well, honestly, tell you the truth, I kind of thought that they really did bury the hatchet a long time ago. But it is kind of nice to sit there and see, even though they may have some sort of animosity towards each other, um, that they can sit there and find common ground, and kind of just talk about some of the good stuff that want to happen with Bobby and how they're bonding over not just Bobby's death but also her memories. Um, Liz talking about how vital Bobby was in her life. Um, Hell, even since they're working on like a sync problem, I didn't even realize that Liz actually worked at Kelly. I knew she was a nurse, but I didn't realize that she actually worked at Kelly's. And Lucy and Tracy. Now, the majority of our conversation, was about Bobby, Lucy, and her conflicted feelings. You know, because she wants to sit there and try to get some roses, specific type of roses for her funeral. And then she talked about how much, they couldn't stand each other, and she realized that she was really jealous of her, and how Bobby was able to sit there and move on from her past, but she felt like she never really got the same type of leeway, and she felt kind of guilty a little bit about talking about Bobby. It's not really kind to sit there and talk about the dead and stuff, but in some ways, I think that people do get it. And it's always a very weird sort of feeling. Especially if you really didn't like somebody, not Bobby, but if you really didn't like somebody in life and they passed, it's like, how do you do that? Like, how do you sit there and be like, I mean, there's certain people that deserve that level of animosity, like Hitler. But with other people, it's like, how do you sit there and be like, I didn't like you, but I can't sit there and really be angry at you logically, but emotionally, it's a lot different. So anyway, they go through the, talking about Bobby for a little bit, and then Lucy is, right back to plotting with Scotty, talking about, oh, I got to marry you off to Tracy, so we could sit there and get all her money and yada yada yada. Um, Now, one of the other things that wound up happening, I forgot to talk about, was when Jocelyn found out what Michael did. Jocelyn was snipping like, oh, that was really bad what you did. Just really kind of giving him grief. And Michael was like, have you ever sat there and lied for somebody that you loved? And Jocelyn literally has, you know, um, with the whole um, Dex thing and knowing the secret and knowing what Dex was planning on doing with Sonny and stuff like that. So in a lot of ways, she's not that much in a position to really sit there and blame Michael. On top of the fact that she don't really even really like Nina either. So in all reality, I'm more surprised. I mean, I guess with Willow and stuff like that, but I'm more surprised with how much grief she was actually even giving Michael. She knows exactly how toxic Nina can be at times. She should have been. I felt like she should have been a little bit more sympathetic towards Michael, in my opinion. I feel like that's pretty much about it. Tomorrow's, here's the thing with these episodes, because in some ways I feel like they're trying to handle two different stories. They're talking about the stuff that wound up happening with Bobby, but they're trying to deal with the main story. That's why, in some ways, it feels almost a little kind of disconnected. Like the same with Carly and Liz. It's like they literally wrote that in there because they're um because of the character's death, and even the conversation with Scotty and Lucy mostly talked about the stuff with Bobby. Now, towards the end, they got right back to the plotting and the scheming and everything like that. But I think this is going to wind up going on for a while. And I know I'm not the only person that probably feels like you're kind of you feel like you're watching. I don't want to sit there and say two different type of episodes, but it's like it feels somewhat disjointed, and it's probably going to feel that way for a while until they really kind of deal with the whole Bobby's death situation. It's going to kind of feel a little bit disjointed. At least that's how I felt when I sat there and I watched it. And I think that's why it took me so long to sit there and do this review because it's like, and if you watch the previews towards tomorrow's episode, except for the Carly and Sonny stuff, it's like they're kind of going back to the rest of the stories. But yeah, that's why it took me a little bit so longer to sit there and do this review because it's like, how do I even sit there and balance this? Um, Anyway, I feel like I kind of got everything said in this review. If I missed anything, let me know. I'm pretty sure I talked about the Dante and Sonny stuff. Um, yeah. Anyway, if I missed anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and Restless. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.